Flow. Poets write the world. If the spell is in the spelling, then to be a poet is to be born with a cure, immune, to be rooted and assured, not marooned. Read the equation and do the work with the words. Value. The rules must be applied to these lies. One must focus the mind to spot the riddles in the lines. Suggestive. They accuse the sheep of weakness, not wisdom, then encourage us to behave like wolves. Who's really being fooled? For I have never felt more blessed than being heard by God. For whom else should lead? To be a sheep in wolf's clothing is to be lost indeed, confused with speed, wanting what one doesn't need, the root of greed, a root to being forgotten, rotten, for it is an honor to be identified, a place in the herd of the righteous, protected by the shepherd from the predators. Don't confuse the poet with an activist. This is just another act of his ego, chasing those shadows. He goes out on his own, and the shepherd will not follow. For all of that corruption is set to swallow those who separate themselves from the family. Noah. These are different expressions of sanity. Sower. Right now, you may even question me, but I am merely the vessel. Like the pot calling me black. Well, yes, I am the kettle. You are focused on my whistle. I am hot, but not offended. Just trying to find my way back to the pastures the Most High recommended. For if poets write the world, there exists a map in these stanzas, coordinates and standards, a direct way home for all who once wondered, as we accept and admit the confusion of our fathers. Don't let these daddy issues give you a God complex, for what then will you have left? And even still, we are blessed. Poets, this vortex is open.
Ryan Dre Sinclair, Vortex. I pray you find peace in these pieces I write. I pray you find your feet in your defeats in life. I pray even when you feel weak, you treat your people right, because it can be a chore laying between the sheets when you can't sleep at night. Not everybody around you will see your light. Not everybody around you will treat you right. And if people want to leave, let them take their flight, because remember, some people put down an item once they see the price. I'm back in the vortex. I'm back with a force that can capture endorsement if my performance is flawless. This floor is just a stage for me to ignore that's played my natural essence like horse. I'm built for this, been writing since house phones were cordless. 27, maybe I should have a house and a mortgage and a wife that's gorgeous. But let's process and move along. City of Brum can do you wrong, where you can get stepped on for the price of your Louboutins. My brother got shot over lest someone prove me wrong. Not to say he wasn't doing wrong, but it's a concrete city where you ain't supposed to bloom. I'm a concrete guy, I just avoid the news. But when I see brothers on concrete, I'm just confused. I want to conquest and move like the Jews. But how can I? I'm just a single dude who's a single dude trying to assemble crews who want to make change. It ain't cheap like little food, but if we make some little moves, maybe we can pick and choose from a wider spectrum of industries to work in, because we don't own enough industries for certain. And we should all be concerned when Boris was trying to deport the Windrush generation and employ just the Persian. It doesn't matter if you're African, Asian, South American or Persian, the system is there to make you feel less than worth than the price of your melanin. And even worse for the women, like my boy Tom said, they hang the blacks out to dry like some melanin, anything to create division. It's easy to control people when they're not aligned with a vision. Sometimes I cry through resistance, knowing my mum is 64 years old and came over here to grind persistent. So if I die on my mission, don't bring no flowers and ribbons, just use the minutes and hours I didn't get to see and live to inspire the next generation of kids, because they will need it. Take heed to my grievance. I've seen shit. I'm speaking my truth with my tongue, and I'm young and I rise on the mic like a phoenix. What a generic poetry line that is. Porque, be quiet when I can feel the fire inside my ribs. A little bit of Spanish. Did I try it? I did. But it doesn't matter what language is used. We all laugh and cry in the same dialect, walking through hell on earth. That's why I try and wear fire crepes. Always try and speak on things that I find relevant. It's time we live in the present instead of trying to get ahead of it. Thank you.
Chloe Carter with 2 R's. Read me. You lack hearing, you're calling. You make more physical calls than spiritual calls, then wonder why you don't have any answers. You know it's so dangerous not knowing who you are. What's even scarier than that is letting other people set the bar. See, they can give you opinions, but don't let them take it too far. You got to have drive before you even get the car. Can't afford to have no focus. Get to the point where you chose it, control it, your mind, console it, the things you need to hear. You know it, and you have potential, so show it. Remember that your aura is a light too. Just know that your aura aligns you for what you're designed to. Destiny, no cap, but take this as a sign to. Use everything that's inside you. Don't lose yourself in the media light. They see it all without having insight on the inside, and still you are so engaging with the world. Make sure you have patience. Make time for waiting. And understand that you're not always going to be on the receiving end of blessings. So don't question the people God is sending, let in. Lessons are taught if you let them. But you're too busy cleaning your room, and that's not where the real mess is. Clear your head so you know where you're headed, and open up so you can receive this message. Read me.
Poetica, 4 wars. Floating good on this kingship, out there in the deep blue. Didn't take an ahoy there for them or for me to deep you. Sailing swell on this queenship. Whether relations or fellow, sponsor, hello, musician, cello. It's cool if I say so, and I say so because God said so. Been a wordsmith from the get-go, me have it set so. And you couldn't stand in my way if I let go, because if I let go, I'd leave a tsunami in my warpath, screaming war cries through the ghettos with the war paint on my face. So age, retro, famous warrior from out of space. So you best know I'm not from a time or place. I travel to earth on a tempo with a treble and a bass, you know. I'm in the world, but not of it. Crooked and corrupted, I wonder when will they stop it. Tribes will never stop beefing, calling the clans to seize it. These battle cries are a demon, still standing, best believe it. Floating good on this vortex, out there in the whirlpool, seeing the eye of the storm, lightning, rage and purple, sailing deep in the cortex, damn. Conscious of the 4 deaths that took place on the 4th deck, infinite and beyond the war vets, and now I'm racking up all these war debts, but paying back with chaos makes more sense. Your move now. Time for more chess. Protect the queen by any means necessary. El Shabazz leaps of faith every 4 Februaries. My war trumpet is a triton. So far with the shofar on land or sea with Poseidon. Amphitrite with the trident. Guided by Orion. Sailing into Zion. Cruising into the horizon. In the world, but not of it. Crooked and corrupted, I wonder when will they stop it. The tribes will never stop beefing, calling the clans to seize it. These battle cries are a demon still standing, best believe it. Poetica.
Dialectic D, short woman. Short woman steps up on stage, takes mic off stand, puts stand to one side, takes full ownership over the power that is in her hands, commands attention, refuses to start her poem until she could hear a pin drop in the room, until there is complete silence. The roar from her diaphragm shocks the audience. They wonder how a voice so big came from someone so small. They wonder if she is a lion disguised as a human. She's small, but she's Talawa, they say. Guess the best things come in micro packages. Short woman may be pocket sized, but her thoughts ain't. She questions why her image is more important to her audience than what she has to say or offer. But short woman never came to play. She's here to show the world that this is her stage. So now it's time for everyone who doubted her to watch in awe as short woman reclaims her space. Thank you.
YA, I know what you're going through, but I will only advise you. I could tell you I relate to you, but your pain would disguise you. I cannot hide you, must recognize you. I'm stuck in a state where I can only prescribe you. Peace of mind, you must free your mind. You must try revise your entire time, your entire life. You must try and find that pain inside. You must try ignite that flame inside and use it. In its rawest form, it feels abusive, rather intrusive if you choose it to lay dormant on a doormat, festering on the floor that, lay behind the door that, shut out your hurt before that. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm just saying that most of my pieces of work are short excerpts from pain as I revert to my pain as I pivot on a scale of my most important lessons and my greatest decisions. I think you have to reach your lowest point before you listen, before you truly recognize, open your mind's eye, open your mind and conquer your hard times. Like, as I stand with my pineal gland resting calm in my hand, on the palm of my hand, you could probably understand how I could travel in time. Switch from states where I'd berate myself during negative times, moments when I'd lay there awake from the way I would hate myself, not appreciating life, to a way I'm able to transcend the lie, anointed in my appointed faith. I use it to revive from my previous demise. Telekinesis I find, I lift more with my mind. I lift feelings, conjure feelings of pure resilience, purely grown in my own soil, unsoiled by the ignorance, plucked carefully for reverence, then placed in my ear over my hair to recite with deliverance. It's the fear that I relinquish, given to God to help manage, disposed by my faith to help vanquish my pain and anguish, built up traffic as I orientate my way through the madness, tormented by badness. I couldn't have fathomed the day when I'd play in the pit of my sadness. Bellowing beauty with words that holler deeper than the sea. In the midst of an abyss I was bestowed with a gift. Love scorn, heart torn, reborn with tears that now adorn me. Glisten in my eyes like the ancestors before me. The pain weighs heavy, we're all tired and weary, but you will hide among the shadows until you're ready. I know it's scary, trust me, it scared me. But now I mix power with pleasure and I see through my mind's eye. I see what I see, but I cannot describe my position. Composition coordinates while I navigate through this universe and travel through time. I'm society illiterate, a little belligerent. I taught deliberate, sought for deliverance, fought for intelligence, study both curriculums like algorithms, idioms. I'm more than a bare minimum. Light. I carry the light, but I ain't light like lithium. I find my medium, my mind's my medium. I rise like a premium, then balance, equilibrium. I'm more than my circumstance. I'm this earth's circumference. I click, glitches through time as I interrupt the meridian line. A concept of time, a concept not mine. I retract time back to defy the restrictions they gave us, evictions they made us. Walk with no shoes in a place where they hate us, despise and berate us, condemn and convict us as convicts and killers with weapons they give us. Tell us we can fly. Really got us believing, but they don't warn of the ceiling that limits our dreaming, obstructs our breathing. How you supposed to fly when you're down here kneeling? It's all boring. I put my all in, I start soaring. YA.
Miss Yankey, the tale of a fallen king. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful how you talk. There is power in your word. So watch your word before you walk. There is power in your word. So watch the word you cast round me. There is power in your word. So watch your word before you walk. There is power in your word. So watch the word you speak round me. There is power in your word. So mind your word. Don't spoil your dreams. Think before you speak. Affirmations are like keys, but be careful where they lead. I said be careful where they lead. The ink I bleed is sacred. My scribes are aligned with Solomon's seal. Manifestation is magic, so magic is real. Affirmations are a given. Speak it to existence. There is alchemy and wisdom, so create beyond this prism. Me? I shift shapes on pages and watch them raise up to form a Merkaba. Swear down I just met an oracle and left the earth with her. Traveling realms, I watched them all. I watched them rise, I watched them fall. I saw a fool whose wish was granted. He ruled kingdoms with smoke and mirrors, no self-reflection. She still watched over him and prayed for his protection. I watched her cry into the well that granted him fortunes from the countless pennies that fell from her thoughts. She poured love into him. He took what served his ego and served her back rejection, acted like he didn't have the answers to her questions, lessened her worth by making her think that she was undeserving, underhand, under spells, undeserved. She was straight down the line, he stayed swerving, she stayed guessing. To her, he was a sacred lesson. To him, she was an energy source. She strengthened his force field. She was a force ready to go to war for him. Her love, of course, was real. She told him from the start and asked if unrequited that he depart to save her heart, to set her free. But see, her divine energy was a source of positivity, so he used words to deny her feelings, but let his actions make her believe in the same fairy tales he told her were fake. I watched an empress crumble under the weight of a fallen king as he laughed off her feelings and minimized her pain. She traveled across eternity just to speak his name, just to see his face, but once again he ran, escaping his reflection. Catch me if you can, but she can't, because he's keeping it karmic. Jumping into cycles that demand repeated second chances. It's not complicated. That's just how he makes it. He's a chancer. People give love and he takes it. People give time and he wastes it. Oh, how he loves to be loved. Oh, how he loves to be adored. But this version of him is a fake, a fraud. He stole her light to light his dark, then left her sobbing on the floor. She was the lamp which lit his path until he didn't need her anymore. He knew better, but chose not to do better. The consequences of his actions he couldn't even begin to fathom. It took her 365 just to find balance. After he tipped the scale, she fell off, still attached to an ancient cord, laid tangled on an ice-cold floor. I carefully pieced her heart together and waited for it to thaw. That winter was colder than any we have known before. Another battle lost in this timeless war. When the season ended, I picked flowers for the rising queen whose love had been ignored and reminded her that new life waits beyond this broken door. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful how you talk. There is power in your words, so watch your word before you walk. There is power in your words, so watch the word you cast round me. There is power in your word. So mind your word, don't spoil your dreams. Miss Yankey.
Becksy Becks, silence. See, when it first started, I was just a little bit sad, so I pushed it down and I stepped on it. But soon after that, a little bit sad turned into a little bit mad, so I pushed that down and I stepped on that, and yet still after that, all these feelings, they just kept piling up inside me like mountains. So I continued to step and climb on their rocky edges to mask the pain. And now, several steps later, climbing on equators, I'm stood at 50,000 feet and all I want to do is jump. See, I scaled these rocky edges to mask the pain. Stood at 50,000 feet looking in on my life. My speech is paralyzed on this sleepless dawn. Negative spaces held me by my palms and carried me along cliffs, lifting my insecurities above sea level, making a freckle of my self-worth. But my cells are of this earth, so I'm hoping once my body hits this ground, maybe it won't even hurt. Instead, I'm hoping that we might reconnect and the pain will simply just disperse. See, I climbed these rocky edges to mask the pain. And now I'm stood side by side with suicide, suspended, soaring on embankments, reciting poems that allow me to say everything I need without having to say anything at all, bleed everything I need without any of the pain of having to live it all, because before I thought if no one could really hear me, then did I even really fall? But now
Now I wish I could dance my thoughts across those monotone waves that this wind has curated from your essence. I wish my keynotes could speak a music into my speech, into my spoken word, in this world where actions speak louder than words. Instead, these negative spaces held me by my palms as we shook the hands of shadows. And I clocked the noon that dialed in on my thoughts, calling me in to this beautiful darkness. It was like sunsets with broken moons, and it spoke with such a violent calmness as it handed me his tools. And now my speech lingers in cylinders. It teeters on this 9mm covered in gunpowder residue, a silence smothered in the 30% industry rises in gunpowder revenues. I can smell it as it simmers on my fingers. Because you see, the pitch of my voice is held in the choice of my aim. So maybe this is the only way you will hear me stood on cliffs this high. I bet the forever sound of my cry will echo in every gunshot round I apply. I scaled these rocky edges to mask a pain, reciting poems that allow me to say everything I need without having to say anything at all. Because the more I breathe life into these lines and attempt to line up my life in one breath, it grants me just enough space to tame this anger in the name of projection. I should have let my keynote speak a music into my speech, into my spoken word. Instead, this silence sits and clicks on the stutters that drip from this lip. This silenced tongue slipped and tripped on its own spit. And now every horrible word that I ever gripped from your lips are laying heavy on my lids, paying levy to a feeling that I'm afraid can now never be undone. See, it's ironic how you never really saw me until I closed my eyes.
Flow poet, broken pen. Endless. Broken pen. I spoke to my higher self in sign language. I would rather follow signs. Language is not for everyone. Everyone can speak, but not everyone can say what they mean. I mean, I've been in the same dream for the past 29 realities, and in reality, everything is made up. At the end of this life, your brain will transcend your body, and when you wake up, you will truly make love to the idea that we are all endless. And if you think about the endless, then you will enjoy this place more. But knowing that things can end can tend to make things tense, because life is full and dense. So think less and enjoy more. The more you enjoy, the less you will think. Just be still and know that if this life ends, your afterlife is yet to begin. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. You've been told numerous times that nothing is gained without sacrifice, yet you still don't want to give your life. Your mother was given life to give you life, and in this life you must give your life. This can feel like pressure. I never understood what it meant to be insecure, because nothing in life was guaranteed. We're all living off a faith of things that came before, so it doesn't actually make sense for atheists to say that they don't believe. I spent most of 2016 looking for a needle in a haystack so I could sow my seeds, to end up realizing that growth is the most uncomfortable thing I never thought I'd need. I need the pavement when I dropped into myself, and it dawned on me that bowing to something greater than myself is more than a necessity, it's humbling. Be humble, king. Be like the hum on the tongue and vibrate through bodies just from you uttering. Listen to me carefully. From young, you were fed the idea that death is only for grown-ups, and you've consumed so much life, you begin to throw up because you've consumed so much life and your diet is not balanced. And the truth is a bitter pill to swallow. You become hollow. Imbalanced. Imbalanced, there's an understanding of duality, and one must never become accustomed to a singularity. I never knew what it meant to be insecure when nothing was ever secure in the first place. To me, this just means you must live every day like it's a gift and unwrap the present, because the future is tense and doesn't really exist. It's a blessing to be able to hold on and let go at the same time.
Queen Jodi, Slaughterhouse mentality. Blood on the trees running down to the root. Strange fruits swinging, burning flesh sizzling. Public watch parties for all white viewing. It's a very sobering and unavoidable truth.
I wish this was a hypothetical. I wish Black Death was not a spectacle. I wish we could actually rest in peace, because this damage is psychological. It's not just physical. Why do you think slavery has always been political? And I'm not one for politics, so you can call me a skeptic, but I just don't get it. Whole families turning up to lynchings like a picnic. It's sadistic. Husbands and wives and their tiny little spawn all gathered around to view the events at dawn. And for those who are not present, crime scene photos are drawn or packaged in a photograph and carelessly shown. We live in a generation of the forlorn, the shell-shocked. It's not even an undertone, it's a fact. This deadlock, it seems that even luck cannot unstuck. Killing your people and forcing you to watch so that fear engulfs you. That's the catch. We've become convinced that it's courage we lack, but when we're so disposable, it's very easy to detach. And sometimes we do decide to fight back. We come together and we launch an attack. But with unlimited amounts of people to snatch, how easily do they secure a fresh batch? And that's the slaughterhouse mentality, if you ask me. We can take it back to the very first arrival at the dock, to the weeping times on the auction block, vultures scavenging whilst ignoring the muck, slobbering over and relishing our bitter crop. There's plenty of strange fruits for these callous crows to pluck. And modern day lynching has very much the same effect. There's no limit, any one of us could be next. Knees on our necks to keep us in check. That's the fear that keeps us annexed, knowing that we do or we don't live, eat, sleep, pray, thinking surely humanity will save the day. And then finally we come to the realization that it won't. Slaughterhouse mentality, Queen Jodi.
Flow. Prepared. Prepared to be ready. Prepared to be ready for my time, my moment, my spotlight, my shine, my heat. It's hot, it's fire. It's not about you. It's about we. It's about us. It's about he. I am the she. I am the daughter. I am the earth, the wind, the water. I come to perish. I come to live. I come to take. I come to give. I am prepared. For this lifeline, I find my lifetime in 3 minutes. There's no limits to the sharing, the caring. I'm applying all my alignments to this precise second. First, I rehearse, as those verses are sacred, birth between love and hatred. We are the interim, the junction, the middle, the medium. I manifest this manifesto with a desire to be blessed, though. I don't only offer to receive. As these words cut through and I bleed out any poison, then separate the distortion. This is a safe space. This is my safest place. I bear witness, naked, return to the garden, unseduced by stardom. I am the fruit. We are the art form, reborn, developed, bettered. This is why I step on the stage to be purified. Flow. This vortex is closed.